Welcome, my peeps, my peoples. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It'll be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart, my peeps, my peoples. So let's talk about Marriage Boot Camp, Season 10, Episode 7. OMG. So now we see what was going on. We see, Guy was abused and mistreated. And the way that he treats his daughter, Brandy, is the same way he treats her, with the abuse, hitting, drinking, drugs, alcohol, and low self-esteem. And, Brandy suffers from low self-esteem. And, it's just a sad situation where she always thought when she was younger that she was going to grow up and get plastic surgery to be beautiful. And then you learn why Matt lies and why Matt has a hard time telling the truth. And the reason why he didn't tell Brandy when he met her that he actually had children, because his father had children outside of his mother and father's marriage that he didn't know about. So he felt it's okay to lie. Plus, he told his father that he was abused, he was molested, he was raped, and his father did not believe him. His father didn't care because he was too drunk. So you see why he gets on drugs and alcohol, and you see why he's not, able to be in a decent relationship with Amber. And then you also see why Amber is the way she is, because her mother was abused and mistreated and beaten, and that's the same thing that Amber's mother has done to her. Tanya has done to Amber. The reason why Amber drinks and do drugs because she's seen it all her life growing up, and the reason why she's so volatile and violent and will fight you in a heartbeat is because that's the only thing that she knows how to react to situation is with anger. And so you see why Mama Jones is so attached to Jim Jones, because she wasn't there in his life when he was younger, because she was too busy in the drug house and the crack house. And you see why Chrissy holds on to Jim Jones, and the reason why she gets into it with Mama Jones is because her mother was, being mistreated by the mother-in-law and allowed it to happen, and Chrissy won't allow it to happen. And also her father was on drugs in a drug house, and she had to go to crack houses and drug house too to chase her father down, as well as Jim Jones had to chase his mother down. So you see why Jim Jones, is really close to Mama Jones, is because he spent his youth, his younger life, chasing his mother down in drug houses and crack houses, trying to get her love and affection. So now that he got her love and affection, he don't want to let it go, period. And we see why Renee and the sisters don't get along is because they all have some type of trauma with their father. Renee wants to be loyal and be just like her father and be tough. It seems like Renee was the son that the father never had. And the sisters, what's her name, Lena, she didn't like the father because he, mistreated her, called her fat, and called her names. And you see why Lana, she doesn't like her father because he didn't conform to the rules. He didn't respect the rules, and he didn't have to answer to nobody. He did whatever the hell he wanted to do. And the sisters and the mother depended on him for everything, and that's why she went to school and got an education, and she don't depend on nobody, and she doesn't need nobody, so she could be all by herself, and it really doesn't matter if she talks to her sister or not. So you see that there was some bullshit going on when these people were growing up, so they had to face their demons today, and Mama Jones didn't want to face her demons, so that what's her name, Renee didn't want to face the demons of losing her sister in the way that she behaves. They really acted out in this episode. Matt acted out too as well, but you can understand because he was raped and nobody believed him, nobody came to his aid. I wish I knew who his father was so I could send him hate mail and all this other stuff. But then if we get Matt's father's story, it's probably just as awful as Matt's story. But Matt's mother needs to be accountable too as well, because she allowed it to happen and she wasn't there for her son. And Matt wishes he would have told his mom that he was abused as well. So it's a real sad situation. So let's get it started with the episode. So we got Tanya, Jimmy, and, Matt and Mama Jones basically outside. They all smoking cigarettes and, just chilling or whatever. So basically Amber starts to talk about, how she had her kids. Like she had a son, her first son, when she was 17 years old, when she moved to Georgia. And then, she had, Amber when she moved back to Florida. When she was in Florida, and then she moved back to Indiana with her husband. So basically she was saying her husband stayed in the strip club. He wasn't around. He wasn't, a father figure or a husband as well. And Jim Jones was sitting there. I know Jim Jones could relate because he stayed in the strip club, because that's what Chrissy said, that he stays in the strip club. That's what he stayed doing or whatever. So I was just like, damn. So you kind of see, Tanya's story that, she was never stable when she was younger. When she was raising the kids, she went back and forth. She moved around. She went from one guy to the next guy, and she didn't have Amber in a stable environment. And it is what it is. And then so you get Amber talking to the other ladies at the table. Chrissy, Brandy, and I think Jen was there, and Lana was there as well, talking at the table, talking about her mom. Her mom always says that, you know, she was trapped and she couldn't choose anything and she didn't have no choices or whatever. So basically Amber's just saying her mother's full of shit, that she needs to be accountable for what the things that she did, and she needs to hold her accountable, and it's all her fault. So basically Amber's not taking any ownership for her behaviors and the things that she chose. So it's easy to blame her mother for everything instead of, you know, taking accountability as well. So it's like Amber and Tanya need to both take accountability for their behaviors and what they did in the past that hurt one another and hurt others that are around them. So it is what it is with that situation. And we got Jennifer talking at the table too as well. She's saying that she never wanted to come home. She wanted to stay in school. She wanted to be a book nerd. We know why, because she didn't want to go home where her father was. She didn't want to be around him. She didn't like him. She didn't like the way he treated the mother. She just didn't like his drunken behavior, him being out all night. And plus she wanted to make sure she get A's and B's so she can go get a degree and go to college and become something, so she can never ever depend on anybody to take care of her, so she can be very independent and not be like her mother, dependent on the father, or be like Renee, dependent on the father, or Lana. Well, Lana really didn't depend. I guess Lana depended on the father for support and to embrace her and to say nice and kind things to her, which never did happen, as she says. And so you'd be like, damn. And then so Amber says how she got into drugs. She got into drugs because her mother was never around, and she chose, you know, to go with the bad crowd and do drugs and basically take drugs or whatever. So basically, you know, since her mother wasn't around, she made the choice to go hang out with the bad kids, to chill with the bad kids, to go do drugs, because she could have very well chose, you know, Jennifer's route and went to school and studied. But, you know, Amber said that she never got along in school well. She had problems in school because she had a troubled home, and that's where teachers and guidance counselor and principals should pick up when kids are going through some shit at home, because you never know why they're having behavior problems. So Amber says she was kicked out of school and she didn't give a shit. And basically Amber says her father was an alcoholic too, and her and her brother tried to break the cycle and not continue the bad behavior that her family, her mother and her father showed them, but Amber actually continued the bad behavior. I don't know if her brother continued the bad behavior. And then we get Chrissy. Chrissy's talking about her father's drug use, that, you know, he was in a crack house. She talks about her mother-in-law always stepped over on her mother, and her mother was very timid. She wouldn't say anything, she wouldn't speak up, and she, you know, eventually disappeared. And so Chrissy's grandmother kind of like raised her from her father's side. And so it is what it is with that situation. And, you know, I was like, damn, that's just crazy. So then you get Mama Jones, you know, basically closing up and refusing to accept Chrissy's behavior towards her. But now she's actually opened up and she see why that, you know, Chrissy is so stern and won't let anything go, because her mother was mistreated by the mother-in-law, and she kind of understands where Chrissy's coming from, but she ain't gonna be Chrissy's doormat. That's what Mama Jones says. And so basically then Chrissy says that's the reason why she don't take any shit from Nancy, because of what she saw her mother take, and she refused to be in that same situation. So I was like, okay. And then we got Lena and Renee, you know, everyone's talking about, you know, Lena is basically the middleman, and she's keeping the sisters together. She's keeping them talking. Basically, she can't express her own feelings because she's in the middle of Renee and Lena and Lana. And basically, you know, she's the buffer between them two, and the doctors notice this, so they take, you know, Jennifer out the picture and let her go away for a while so Renee and Lana can work on their situation. So it is what it is with that situation. And then after that, you know, Dr. Ish and Dr. V basically, you know, now it's the Christmas assignment. Everyone comes in the folder, and, you know, basically, you know, the Christmas assignment is the hardest one, so they separate the groups or whatever. So they have Brandy, Jim, Tanya, Jennifer, and Dr. Ish, and then Chrissy. But I think, you know, Jennifer's on her way out the door, and they have to talk about their Christmas experience, what they think about Christmas and all this other stuff, and what was Christmas to them, what the ghost of Christmas basically. And Lana says she was a victim at 13 years old when her father put her down and said that she was too fat, and that's when she lost total respect for him. So basically they are counting every moment where life kind of turned for them and went negative. And then she said her father She said her father never, so she lost respect for her father, and she never respected him after he did that shit. And then Renee talking about her father, you know, Renee was abused by one of her first boyfriends that stabbed her, and she told her father, and her father went over there and broke his arms, and she had so much respect for him, and she loved him in that because she was actually to get revenge on that situation. And the message was sent not to mess with Renee, not to hit on Renee. And Jennifer, she says her father, you know, he stayed out, he did whatever he wanted to do, and he was no good. He never answered to anybody. And, you know, and Jennifer, that's why she got her own money, and that's why she has the conflict with, you know, her sisters with Renee, because Renee thinks her father's a god and he's not. And so Renee feels like her she feels like her sister Lana's being unloyal because she's actually mentioned that the father called her fat, and she's upset. But Renee's not hearing the message. She's not getting the message that her sister was hurt at 13. She was you know, disrespected. She, you know, her father took away her confidence, her self-esteem, basically, by taunting her about her weight. And Renee is not picking up on that. She just picks up on, my father's going to be upset, he's going to be angry, and it's not loyal. So she's not hearing actually her sisters, and that's the problem that Renee has. She don't hear the message because she's already got her mind made up. Come on, get into. So it is what it is. So that's what that situation goes. And so and Jennifer also says that she turned her back on her father. Basically, he was trying to get her respect and try to get her love, but she didn't want none of it because of the way he treated everybody. So Jennifer has a very good, you know, viewpoint of her father. The way she sees Renee's side, she sees Jennifer's side, and she sees her side and the mom's side, and she don't want, and she kind of didn't, you know, conform to her father's type of, you know, manipulation at all, and to be victimized by her father at all either. And so then Amber, you know, she gets up and she talk about, you know, when, you know, her mother was started hitting her, beating her up when she came home one night drunk after she was with her boyfriend or whatever, and the cops was called and everything. And then after that, she started to do Oxycontin. And it's the same story that Tanya describes with her father coming home drunk and lining all the kids up and beating the shit out of them. And so she ended up turning around doing the same thing to her child. So generational curses do pass, and the cycle had continued. And then you got Tanya, you know, talking about her being beat up, her being yelled and screamed at. She was in fear of her dad, and then the mom would jump in and yell and scream at them too as well. So they never had anybody to protect them as a child. And so that's why, you know, Tanya felt like she might have protected Tanya from the outside world, but she didn't protect, I mean, Tanya might feel like she protected Amber from the outside world, but she really didn't protect Amber from her mother's past and her mother's abuse. So, you know, the monster was in the house, and that was Tanya. Tanya was in the house, and she was a monster towards Amber. And, you know, Matt actually speaks up, and he tells everybody that he was raped by an authority figure, and he came home and he hid in the closet. He waited for his father to come home, and he ran down. He told him his father was too drunk to even care, and he said after that they never spoke of it again. Jim Jones felt for him. Jim Jones wanted to beat his father's ass. He got so upset. I got so upset and mad because, like, damn, this is a little kid. He was in 2nd grade. He thought his father was gonna be there for him and protect him and go beat the guy up, but the father didn't give a shit. He didn't care. What a loser. What a loser. Like, everybody shouldn't have kids, and it's just so sad that the wrong people are able to have kids, and the people that want to have kids are not able to have kids, which is just a sad in itself. And now you just see what Matt went through, especially a man being molested and being raped. That's an awful situation. That's a bad situation, and not being able to tell anybody and keeping it in for years. So that's why he got on drugs, and that's why he's probably not good in relationship. He can't tell the truth. It's better not to tell the truth because nobody cares. So he's facing that fact, and he cried, and you know, and he said his father, you know, beat him up. His father was always drunk and wasn't there for him. And then we got Jim Jones. He gets up and he talks about, you know, his father leaving his mother, and at the age of 9, I believe. And he talks about, you know, chasing down his mother, looking for his mother. He just stood in the house with his grandma. His grandmother made sure he went to school, made sure he did this and that, but his mother wasn't around. Anytime he wanted to see his mother, he had to go to these drug houses, these crack houses, these bad places, these dark places, and he was chasing her down for her love, just to see what was going on. And this is a little kid, I mean, at 9 years old, running around looking for his mother in the streets. And and that's why you see that he don't want to let her go, because he lost her in the most important years of his life, and he's not trying to lose her again. So that's why he won't allow that umbilical cord to be cut between him and his mother. And Mama Jones feels the same way. She feels guilty, and she said that when her mother was on her deathbed, she said to her, "You need to change your life. You need to do this. You need to take care of your kid," or whatever, because the grandmother was gone. She was going to be able to take care of Jimmy or any other kids that she was taking care of. So that's when Mama Jones got her life together, and she was in Jim Jones' life forever and ever, as we see now. And she stuck by that promise, and she continued to have sobriety and be clean and be there for her son. But now she attached herself so much to her son that he's a part of her identity, and which is a problem. So then we get Guy. His problem was that, his father threw him up against the wall and hit him. His father was always drunk and mistreated him. There was a nice guy and there was a bad guy father. There was a fun father and, the weird, crazy father. Let's have a good time. Let's get high. And then there was the mean, drunken father as well. And so now Guy is understanding that he's just like his father, the way he treats Brandy by beating her, and then basically having multiple personalities too. The monster and the good guy, just like his father was. And he realized, like, damn, I've been messed up for 40 years. I messed up for 40 years. The behavior that I didn't want to do with my children, I did with Brandy. And he's really upset about that. And he's hurt. And Brandy talks about her father slapping her and hitting her. And Jim Jones was like, damn, that's so messed up. He felt so bad for her. And basically, she talks about, she got slapped, and she just felt really bad. Like, he would yell at her, he would scream at her, and make her feel like she was shit. And so you got Chrissy, and Chrissy, her father was on drugs or whatever. Her mother disappeared because she couldn't take the abuse from the grandmother, from her father's, mother. So the mother split, and basically on one day on her birthday, she went to go to one of these drug houses. Her father wouldn't even open the door to see her face. He slid about $200 or $300 under the door to tell her and her mother to go do something nice. And so she cried, and it was hurtful. And so you see why she stays attached to Jim as well, because they both went the same thing, where their parents were strung out on drugs and the streets back then. And they went in the house, they were searching the hood, searching the streets, looking for their mom and their father. And, this is why they have a bond together. So they started crying. And so Mama Jones kind of understands everything. And then, Jim Jones talk about, like his mother just wasn't there for him. She didn't take care of him. She didn't help him. She wasn't around. And he just cried. And Jim Jones broke down because he remembers that pain. He remembers that hurt. And, and he probably hasn't felt that pain and that hurt for so long because his mother's attached to his hip now. But he remembers chasing after her, chasing for that love, chasing her, why she don't love me. Same thing, Chrissy did. So that's what it is with that situation. And then, Mama Jones talking about, getting help and cleaning herself up and all that other good stuff. And, Jennifer's tired of being the middle person, so she's gone. And that's what it is. So we get the ghost of Christmas. Amber comes out. Her story is, I was slapped in the face. And I always thought I was ugly and I wanted to get surgery. We got Tanya talking about her dad and the situation with her dad abusing her and doing booze. And next we got Matt. His father was in the parking lot when he was trying out for softball. And he wouldn't pay attention to his son because he was in the parking lot with some woman getting drunk. And he just really felt bad and hurt. Damn, Matt had some fucked up shit happen to him. And, basically his father just not being there for him at all. And then next you got, you got Lana. Basically, her dad just treated her like shit and wasn't there for her and made her feel bad and had low self-esteem. So it was just like so much shit going on this episode. It was just like, damn. And so you got, So then you got, Jennifer, her situation is where, with Renee, an old lady comes out in a wheelchair with an oxygen tank. And then basically it's like a funeral service and it's R.I.P. to Jennifer. And basically the old woman says like, yo, listen, I haven't seen my sister in years. Renee flipped out. She was so upset. She was like, that's not me. I don't blame Renee. That woman in that wheelchair is not me. When I get older, I'm not going to be in a goddamn wheelchair. I'm not going to have an oxygen tank. And my baby sister's not going to die before me. So, and then Lana's nowhere around. So, and so she just started crying. She was like, F this, F that. She took her picture. She was upset. The doctors had to calm her down. Because, yo, that ain't me, mother suckers. You know, don't even put that on me that we're going to be old and miserable and lonely. And then Jennifer dies. That's my baby sister. No. It was so sad. And then she grabbed onto Lana. Then Lana was like, yo, I understand this exercise. Renee, you go from a 0 to 100 24/7. You got to stop it, or we're going to end up like that. We're going to be old and lonely and miserable and decrepit, and we're never going to be together. We're always going to be apart. We're not going to have each other. And, you know, I don't want this. And I love, and they started hugging and crying each other. And Renee was like, I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I messed up. And then, you know, Lana was like, I messed up too. I don't want to be like that. I don't want us to, we're going to be together. We're going to be a family. That shit was real. That shit hurt. And Matt shit hurt too as well, man. He just cried because that's so much that he's putting out there. I was just like, damn. Use dudes, use married boot camp people wanted to touch with my heart. You wanted to mess with my soul, mess with my heart. I was like, oh, Lord. But that's the realest moment you ever seen Renee. Renee was the realest. That's the realest she ever been on reality TV, was right there. And when she grabbed her sister and just cried because she knew none of the shit that she did and all the shit she said wasn't worth it. The arguments with her sister, none of that was worth it. If they're going to end up like that when they get older. I was like, damn. Oh, Lord have mercy. So the next, we have Jen. And Jen talks about, you know, her father having two sides, being crazy as well. And always thinking that she was ugly and wanted to grow up and get, you know, plastic surgery and show her boobs and do all the outrageous shit that she was taught as a child, and never feeling like she was beautiful and feeling like she always had to fix herself. So she always had insecurity. She always felt like she wasn't good enough. And basically a lot of it comes from her father not showing her love and mistreating her. So I was just like, damn. And next was so then we had Guy. He get up there and he tells the same story about his father, which he did to his daughter. And next we get, you know, who else is next? We get Mama Jones. Basically, the young girl comes on talking about, you know what, I'm always like she's she's in the streets. Her mother's sick. She wants to be a good mother, but she ain't home with her kids because she's always somewhere out getting high or in a drug house or whatever. Mama Jones flipped out and then talking about her father had a drug problem, whatever, and was in the street as well. And the parents was always so strict. Her mother was strict on her. There's only church and school, but yet indeed the father was out there in the street doing drugs and doing everything ungodly while the mother was at home pretending. And then Mama Jones could not handle it. She started yelling. She started screaming. She said, F no, F this. After you guys are not going to play with me. You're not going to do this. You're not going to bring this shit up. I ain't tell you to talk about it. I didn't tell you motherfuckers talk about this shit. And so then she leaves. She actually leaves. The Dr. Ish goes out there to get her, but Jim Jones had to bring his mother back because, you know, they attached to the hip. So she's crying. She was like, I didn't tell him to say this. And so then Jim Jones is backing down on what he said because he see how hurt his mother is, because he doesn't want to hurt his mother, because he's in fear of losing his mother if he hurts her too much, or if he makes her face up to the shit that she did when she was younger. And so anyways, the boy comes out, that's Jim Jones, and talking about, I had to chase my mother down a crack house, and she was like, oh no, you mother suckers ain't gonna do this to me. No, I did not do that. I refused. I was not in no crack house. I was not in no drug house. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't this. I wasn't that. I was like, damn, the way she's refuting that tells you that it was real. And then they go back and they bring Jim Jones when he originally signed up to the show, talking about his mother was always in the crack house. He was chasing his mother down, following her around. She was never around. She was never at home, but he knew where she was. And so when it's his story to come, and she's looking at him like, you better not agree with this. And Jim Jones was like, you know, it might not have been a crack house, but it was just some dark places or some unsafe places or some unsavory places. And she was like, nah, I'm not hearing that. So Jim Jones actually backed down. So you see when he backs down, when his mother starts to cry and she's crying, she's angry, she's upset, she's in an emotional, risky state, that's when he would back off and let her have her way. So we got to witness that too as well. And so it is what it is with that situation. So we get Judge Tola. She comes out and she's just like, she is so proud of Matt. She's proud of Amber. She's proud of Tanya. and she's proud of Amber actually showing love to Matt and showing love to her mother at the same damn time, and also being coherent and listen to what's going on, and also giving Matt some love at the end of the day when he exposed his story that he went through, that he was raped, her hugging him and kissing him and showing him support. So she was really happy at that. And Guy basically got to get, he has to act like Jim Jones acted when his mom went away. He has to be that way towards Brandy. He has to have her back and be there for her. And then Renee basically having self-control, not letting anybody come in their family and disrupt it, and for leave the past alone and work on the future. And Chrissy and Jim Jones basically, you know, everything was good between them, but Mama Jones is still in denial. Jim is still in denial, but Chrissy, she understands why Chrissy and Jim has the love that they have for each other. And basically that umbilical cord needs to be cut, and so Mama Jones said, I will extend it. That shit needs to be chopped, burned, and set on fire. And it is what it is. It's a situation. I was just like, damn. And then at the end of the day, we got Guy fighting with Amber because actually Guy just wants, we got Amber fighting with Matt because Matt don't want to cuddle. He just wants to be alone, and she can't accept that, and she can't understand that. You know, he had a hard day. He had to expose and face them traumatic symptoms that he went through. That is tough as hell. To say that I was a man and I was raped and nobody gave a shit, and I live with this deep dark secret my whole life. Right now, I told America, I told the people in this room, I just need some time. I just want to sleep and I just want to lay by myself. I just need peace for myself. And Amber can't understand it now. She's getting upset. She's thinking that he's abandoning her. He's leaving her like the mother left her, like the father left her. So there's a lot of bullshit going on. Anyways, it was a great episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the video. It'll be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart. My peace, my peoples.